the One Day LP. Before the record deals, before the tours, before the world knew her name, there was a girl in Calgary training 40 hours a week in dance, winning Mini Best Dancer at the Dance Awards in New York at age 10, and becoming the first Canadian finalist on So You Think You Can Dance, The Next Generation at 13. Still, she found time for a piano, a webcam, and a song she almost didn't upload. She was 14 when she wrote One Day, an hour, no producer, no microphone, but the one on her laptop. Later, she laughed. My parents were like, "This is god-awful, please don't post it." But she did. That single click changed everything. The video spread like a secret. A whisper passed between teenage hearts. By 2019, One Day had climbed past 38 million views on YouTube. A dancer who'd already performed on national TV was now a songwriter singing about the emotional turmoil of unrequited love. It didn't sound polished, it sounded true. That song became the spine of the One Day LP, 9 tracks released between 2017 and 2019, compiled on vinyl in January 2021. This LP captured the Create with Tate era, those Friday uploads from her bedroom, when she was still just testing what honesty could do. Each song feels hand-stitched, minimal piano, a single voice in an empty room. In Teenage Mind, she sings, "We're all a beautiful mess." A teenager realizing that emotion itself could be art. Superfans know this era like scripture. The guava pink vinyl, the limited cream white pressings, the collector's editions that turned bedroom recordings into keepsakes. These songs weren't made for radio, they were made for release. Writing became therapy, rhythm became diary. By 2019, RCA Records came calling. The same songs she'd recorded alone, One Day, Hung Up on You, Distant, became her audition tape for the world. No choreography this time, just lyrics. The One Day LP isn't about fame, it's about origin. All the things I never said. She was 16, caught between girlhood and something sharper. After years of whisper singing her feelings online, Tate McRae finally had a studio, a label, and a world waiting to hear what she'd say next. All the Things I Never Said arrived on January 24, 2020. 5 songs, 15 minutes. Not a debut, an introduction. It opens with Tear Myself Apart, co-written by Billie Eilish and Phineas. A torch passed from one prodigy to another. But even with their fingerprints, it still sounded like her. That breathy vulnerability. That line, "I'm left alone to tear myself apart." The moment she realizes the villain and the victim might be the same person. Then, "All my friends are fake. Glitter on the surface, loneliness underneath." She wrote it after noticing how strange friendships become when everyone's pretending. It's not cynical, it's honest. By Stupid, the tone shifts. Her first radio moment, sharp, rhythmic, a little self-destructive. It's the sound of knowing you're making a mistake and doing it anyway. But that way defines the era. A piano, a forbidden crush, and a lyric that refuses to age. Friends don't look at friends that way. She wrote it at 15, and the internet turned it into scripture. The EP closes with Happy Face, soft and self-aware. The soundtrack to pretending you're fine while quietly falling apart. Through all 5 tracks, the production stays minimal, synths, echo, and silence, leaving space for what matters. Her voice. She told Apple Music, "Once you get to know me, I'm an open book. Extremely honest and straight up, just like in my writing." That honesty became her signature. If the One Day LP was the ache of wanting to be heard, All the Things I Never Said was her official arrival. Too Young to Be Sad. 17. Quarantined, writing songs that sounded older than she felt. Too Young to Be Sad dropped on March 26, 2021, a 6-track confession dressed in polished pop. It became Spotify's most streamed female EP of the year, yet it still felt like the same girl in her bedroom. Only now, her microphone reached the world. You Broke Me First was already a phenomenon. Released April 2020, it grew country by country until it went multi-platinum worldwide. A brittle vocal, a bruised truth. She told Billboard, "I had written down, I don't really care how bad it hurts because you broke me first," and shaped it into a toxic relationship story. Then Rubber Band, a perfect metaphor for the push and pull of letting go. She pictured snapping a rubber band on her wrist every time she missed someone. Simple, human, brilliant. Are You Okay flipped the breakup back on its author. Slower was an ultimatum. A 14-year-old fed up with someone stringing her along, demanding he either commit or she'd move on with her life. Bad Ones brought back her dancer energy, beats built for motion. Wish I Loved You in the 90s closed it with cinematic nostalgia, romance before Wi-Fi. Too Young to Be Sad didn't just chart, it resonated. It became the sound of a generation learning they weren't alone in their heartbreak. She even appeared on The Ellen Show to discuss the project, where she opened up about balancing music in high school while her voice was reaching millions. I used to think I could fly. By 2022, she wasn't a newcomer. She was a headline. Her debut album, I Used to Think I Could Fly, landed on May 27, 2022, and it sounded like turbulence. 19 years old, writing between hotel rooms and studio basements. She called it her mental state record, restless, searching, raw. It opens with Don't Come Back, sharp as a breakup text, then chaotic, stripped to piano and fear. I have this paralyzing fear that I'll maybe go nowhere. Not performance, confession. She's All I Wanna Be became the anthem. Punk pop jealousy turned into art. Tate told Rolling Stone it was about comparing yourself to everyone around you. The music video, directed by Michelle Dolly with choreography by Dolly and Deirdre Barnes, showcased a dance competition concept that proved Tate's first language was still movement. What would you do? Was her revenge fantasy a dark, petty confrontation with a guy taking her for granted, asking what he'd do if she left and gave back all the pain he caused? Critics called the album sonically restless. She called it unfiltered honesty. Greg Kirsten and Alexander 23 built it like a storm. Pop, rock, R&B colliding. Every lyric a timestamp. 19 and terrified of standing still. She told Apple Music, I was figuring out who I was while writing this album, and that's messy. It debuted top 10 across multiple countries worldwide, cementing her as one of Gen Z's most articulate heartbreakers. But beneath the success was survival. This wasn't confidence, it was collision. Ambition versus doubt. Love versus distance. If Too Young to Be Sad was heartbreak, I Used to Think I Could Fly was the crash and the recovery. Think Later. By late 2023, she was done apologizing. No more whispering, no more waiting. Think Later arrived on December 8, 2023, and from the first synth, you can hear the shift. Gone was the introspection of Fly. This era glowed neon, confident, kinetic, alive. She called it her Don't Overthink It record. The sound of instinct winning over anxiety. Cut My Hair opens the album. Sleek, sharp, defiant. Then Greedy detonates. Released that September, it hit #1 on Spotify Global, her first chart topper. The hockey rink video, choreography, and precision turned her into a pop icon overnight, but it was TikTok that detonated it. The song went viral on the platform, and suddenly everyone was dancing to Greedy. Run for the Hills traps her in a toxic cycle she can't escape, even though she knows she should run. Grave descends into a relationship that's reached its breaking point, one-sided and inescapable. Stay Done is about the impossible struggle to end a relationship, caught between breaking up and coming back for the high of toxicity. Exes and We're Not Alike bring sharp observations to heartbreak, one playful, one dark. She worked with Ryan Tedder as executive producer across most of the album, crafting something slick yet human. When she released Think Later, she said, For the first time in my life, I lived this year a little less with my head and a little more with my intuition. And I really hope you guys can feel that through the music. That's the thesis of this era. For years, she wrote about self-doubt. Now she was writing from self-possession. The visuals matched: metallic tones, minimal styling, confidence as choreography. Her Think Later tour sold out worldwide. Greedy went multi-platinum in under a year. This was metamorphosis in real time, the sound of someone stepping out of her own shadow. If Fly was descent, Think Later was rise, fast, fearless, free. For the first time, she wasn't singing from heartbreak, she was singing from power. So close to what? By 2025, she'd done everything they said she couldn't. Hits, tours, viral dominance, and somehow it still wasn't enough. So close to what dropped on February 21st, 2025, her most self-aware album yet. She told Apple Music, I'm finally making music for myself, not to impress anyone else. It's not chasing a trend, it's reclaiming her reflection. The sound is colder, cleaner, deliberate. The album leaked January 16th, 2025, forcing last-minute rewrites, and she leaned into it, wearing Leak This on a tee. Miss Possessive opens the record with confidence and control. Revolving Door cuts with surgical honesty, a Jersey Club track about cycles of toxic love. Dear God and Purple Lace Bra dive deeper into vulnerability and desire. Sports Car is a rush of adrenaline wrapped in metaphor. Her writing now, less diary, more literature. She's no longer describing heartbreak, she's dissecting it. Critics called it her most refined. Fans called it her most honest. It debuted #1 in Canada, breaking her own streaming records. But the success was secondary. This era isn't about domination, it's about direction. She's no longer the sad girl or the pop princess. She's the writer, the woman who learned that growing up doesn't mean losing feeling, it means learning how to name it. If Think Later was the exhale after heartbreak, so close to what is the reflection that follows? Stillness after noise. Closure without certainty, not a finish line, just the beginning of understanding herself. Over 30 singles, 3 studio albums, 2 EPs, 1 LP that started it all. And then there's the newest chapter. In September 2025, she released Tit for Tat, speculated by fans and critics to respond to the Kid Leroy's A Cold Play. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. The cycle continues. Tate McRae's discography reads like a diary in real time. Each release another entry in the story of a girl growing up under fluorescent lights. From the One Day LP to So Close to What, she turned every version of herself into music. Subscribe for more journeys like this one.